Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to do a new lesson on elapsed time. Now, elapsed time means that you are finding the amount of time that has passed from beginning to end. Okay, so we will look at skipping forward and backwards on number lines as well as clocks. Okay, so for review, you need to know or remember that the hour hand is the shorthand on a clock. The minute hand is the long hand. You also need to remember that once you go past the 12 on a clock, that's when your hour is going to change to the next hour. You also need to remember on a clock that you skip by fives each time, and then there are 60 minutes in an hour. That's important to remember. Okay, this lesson may take a little longer than normal, but stick with me and go through all the examples and try the best you can to follow along in your packet as you're listening to this lesson. Okay. So example 1 says Ava and her family visited Space Center Houston. They watched a movie that began at 4:10 and ended at 4:53. How long did the movie last? Okay. So what we're doing is trying to figure out the elapsed time. So we're going to skip on a number line. That's one way. You can skip using a clock. There's the second way. And then you can also subtract. We won't use subtracting very much in third grade because it gets a little complicated with minutes because you don't borrow like you do when you're subtracting regular numbers. So the main two strategies we will use is a number line and a clock. Okay? So we're going to skip on the number line by whatever number is easiest for you to count by. As you can see, I've already labeled this 10. So if I'm starting at 4:10 because the movie began at 4:10 and I jump 10 minutes, then what would my new time be? My new time would be 4:20, so I go down and I'm writing the new time as I'm skipping. Okay? And I'm going to keep skipping until I get to my end time, which was 4:53. Okay, and I've already got all of these labeled just to make the video go a little bit smoother and quicker instead of me having to write it all. So the next jump is also a 10. If I jump 10 minutes, I'm now at 4:30. And I'm still not at 4:53, so I have to skip again. I'm going to keep doing 10s. 30 minutes plus another 10 is now 40 minutes. Okay, I'm still not to 50 or 53 yet, so I jump one last 10 because that will give me 450. And now instead of jumping 10, I have to now just go by 3 because there's only 3 more minutes left to get to 453. Okay, so now we can stop our jumps and our skipping on the number line. And now to figure out how long the movie lasts, remember that was our question. We can't just do the skipping. We have to actually answer the question. It says, how long did the movie last? So to figure that out, we go up here and add up all these times that we skipped by. So that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, plus 3 more is 43 minutes. Okay, that is one strategy for finding the elapsed time. So elapsed time is how much time has passed from the beginning to the end. Okay. Now, if you look, here's a clock. So how you would do that on a clock is you have to skip by 5s because there's only 5s on a clock, 5s and 1s. So now you see the clock is at 4:10. Remember, the shorthand is your hour hand. So that's 4 o'clock and then 10 minutes. So we're going to start at the minute hand, 4:10, and if I jump 1, I'm now at 4:15. That would be 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and now I stop here because I'm getting close. I know I can't jump 5 because that would be too much. I need to just skip by 1s now. So that would be 51, 52, 53. And then you go back And same thing we did up here. We added up all the times we skipped by up here. Now we're going to count what we skipped by down here. So that would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then the last 3 minutes, that would be 41, 42, 43. 43 minutes. So we get the same amount of time, just a different strategy. Okay, and the last one, subtracting. So I start by putting the end time on the top, obviously because it's bigger. The numbers are bigger. So we want that on top, the end time, and then we can subtract just like normal by lining up the digits. 3 minus 0 is 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. In the hours, 4 minus 4 would just be 0, so we would say 43 minutes. Okay, here we go on example 2. Use the number line to find the elapsed time from 1:15 to 1:40. Okay, so 1:15 would go at the beginning of the number line, and we're going to skip by whatever is easiest for you until you get to 1:40. Okay, so a hint over here, I've said I can skip on the number line by whatever is easiest for me. 5s, 10s, 15s, even 30 minutes or an hour. So let's look over here. I've already done 15 as our first skip. The reason I like doing 15 when the time is 1:15 is because I know a 15 plus another 15 is going to give me 30. Okay, so instead of going 5, 10, 15 and having to add all those up, just skip by one big 15, and that's going to make it a little bit easier. Okay, now your new time would be 1:30 because we skipped by 15. 15 minutes plus another 15 minutes is 30. Okay, now we need to keep jumping because we have to get to 1:40. So you should be thinking now, if I am at 30 minutes, what should I skip by to get to 1:40? Well, if you're thinking 10, then you are correct. So 10 plus 30 would give me 1:40. Now I need to figure out how much time I jumped by in total. That's your elapsed time. So 15 minutes plus another 10 would be 25 minutes. 25 minutes is your elapsed time. That's how much time has passed between 1:15 and 1:40. Okay? Example 3, find the elapsed time. So remember, elapsed time means the time that has passed from the start, which is 11:35, to the end, which is 11:54. Okay, so we're going to put 11:35 at the beginning of our number line, and we're going to jump by tens this time. Okay, 35 minutes plus another 10 minutes would be 45. 35 plus 10 is 45. So that would be my new time. Make sure you write that as you're skipping. Okay, now if I'm at 45, can I skip by 10 again? If you're thinking no, then you're right. If I jump by 10, 45 plus 10 would be 55, and that's too much. We only need to go to 54. So instead of doing a 10, I'm going to do a 5 this time. So we're going to put plus 5 at the top, and then at the bottom, we need to put our new time. So if I'm doing 11:45 plus 5 minutes, that's going to be 11:50. Okay, I'm still not till 11:54, so what do you think we should skip by next? Well, I could sit here and add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, or I could just think, okay, well, I'm at 50. I need to get to 54. So I'm just going to do one jump of 4. 50 plus 4 is 11:54. Okay, Now that's not what we're looking for is 11:54. We already know that. We need to answer what is the elapsed time. So to do that, we go back and we add up all of these times that we skipped by. 10 plus 5 plus 4. Well, 10 plus 5 is 15, and 15 plus 4 is 19. So we would say 19 minutes have passed, or 19 minutes is your elapsed time. Okay? Now the last one is doing it on a clock. The problem gives you the clock, so you can use that to help you find the elapsed time. So starting time is 4:20, the end time is 5 o'clock, and we want to figure out how much time is between those two. The clock is already showing my start time, 4:20. Okay, so I want to skip around the clock until I get to 5 o'clock. Well, you could go ahead and start skipping and know that when you get to the 12, that's when you're going to have a new hour. So right here at the 12 is where we need to stop because that's when it's going to change to 5 o'clock. Okay, now we're going to skip by 5s. This is 20 right here, so I would say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. 40 minutes have passed. Now I went ahead and marked off where I needed to stop. So I didn't have to say 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and then go back and count up the time in minutes. I marked off where I needed to end. So then I could just count by 5s to get my elapsed time, making sure I stopped at that point that I marked at the beginning. Okay, so 40 minutes is your elapsed time. Example. Okay, now the skipping has already been shown for you, but just remember, if you have a blank number line, you need to put your start time at the beginning, and then you're skipping by whatever is easiest. I've put 10 on this one. So let's see what the problem says. Samantha practices for a kayak race from 8:02 a.m. to 8:49 a.m. How long does Samantha practice? Okay, so now we have the end time as 8:49 a.m. So that's where we need to stop. So if I jump by 10, my new time is 8:12. Another 10, my new time would be, well, think to yourself, what is 12 plus 10? That would be 22. Okay, now we're 22 plus 10 more would be 32. 32 plus another 10 would be 42. And make sure that you're labeling right at these little tick marks. That's where your numbers go on a number line. Okay, now I'm getting really close to 49. So you notice the number I skipped by changed. I didn't want to skip by 10 because that would be too much. That would give me 52. I need to just stop at 49. So 42 plus 5 would be 47. 8:47 is my new time. And then I know 47 plus 2 would give me the time I need to end at, which is 8:49. Okay, now what do we do last? You have to add all the numbers you skipped by to see what your total elapsed time is. So I'm going to skip by 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, and 46, 47. 47 minutes is your elapsed time. Okay? Now, if I'm going too fast or if you need to look over it a little bit longer, then just pause it or rewind it and go back. Okay? Example 6. Kira got on the tour bus at 5:15 p.m. She got off the tour bus at 5:37 p.m. So her start time was 5:15. How long was Kira on the bus? So we put 5:15 at the start, and we need to jump until we get to 5:37. Okay, anytime I see a 15 for my minutes, I like to go ahead and add 15 more to that because I know 15 plus 15 is 30, and that's easy to do in my head because it ends in a 0. Okay, so here we're going to jump by 15. My new time is 5:30. Now I only need to go to 5:37. So what do you think would be a good number to jump by next? If you're thinking 7, then that's a good choice. If you want to do 5 and then 2, that's fine also. It does not matter. You get to choose. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do 7 because I know 30 plus 7 would give me 5:37. Okay, now what's the last step? You need to make sure you add up the times you skip by. 15 plus 7 is 22 minutes. So 22 minutes had passed from the time she got on the bus to the time she got off the bus. That's what elapsed time is, the amount of time that has passed between a start time and an end time. Okay? How can you find the start or end time when you are given the elapsed time? So this time we're not finding the elapsed time, it's what is given to us. We need to figure out what time something is going to end or what time something began using the elapsed time, okay? So let's look at this example. Finding the ending time. The start time is 1:40. So you notice if it's the start time, it's going at the beginning of the number line. Elapsed time is given. It's telling me what to skip by this time. I don't need to guess what should be a good number to skip by. This time I can skip by what they give me. If you don't feel comfortable skipping by 20, then you can break that up into a 10 and a 10. But since mine already shows 20, we're going to go ahead and jump by 20. Because I also know if it's 40, if it's ending in 40, and I add 20, that gives me 60. And when I get to 60 in time, that means I'm going to the next hour. So as you see, I'm jumped by 20. It now becomes 2 o'clock. I like that number because it's a good even number for me to add with, okay? The next time is 13 minutes. We jump 13 because, again, like I said, it's nice and easy to add with 2 o'clock. 2:13, because 2 o'clock plus 13 minutes would be 2:13. So your end time would be 2:13, and make sure you put AM or PM. It's still PM. It did not change to AM. Okay? Example 2, we're still finding the ending time. The start time is 9:55. So you see the clock is already labeled 9:55. It takes 15 minutes to ride a bike and 12 minutes on homework. That's the amount of time that we're spending. So we start at the minutes, which is 55 right here. And on a clock, we have to jump by 5. So first I'm going to count to 15 by 5s. 5, 10, 15. Okay, now I need to do 12 more minutes. So then I would start here and count by 5s until I get to 12. 5, 10. Well, I've stopped here because I can't do another 5, but I still need to go to 12. So that means I would say 11, 12. So I've stopped right here. The second line after the 4. Well, the minute hand right here is 20. So if I go 2 past that, I would be at 22. 22 is my minutes. But let's think about my hour now. I was at 9:55, but I went past that 12. So what does that mean my hour becomes? I was at 9 o'clock, so now I'm going to go to 10 o'clock. it changes to 10. 10:22 would be your ending time. Okay? All right, next slide, and this is our last one, and you will be done. Example 3 says, Fiona practices for her piano recital for 30 minutes before lunch each day. If she has lunch at 12:15 p.m., what time does Fiona start practicing each day? Okay, well, notice I don't have 12:15 at the beginning anymore. It's the end time. Okay, they want to know what time she is starting to practice each day. So that's why there's the question mark at the start. We have to figure out the start time. So we could go backwards now to get to the start. Now, if you go backwards on a number line, that means you're subtracting. Okay, so here's 12:15. Remember when I said 15? I'm going to go ahead and use 15 again. So I go backwards 15 minutes. That means I'm now at 12 o'clock. Okay, now I'm going to jump another 15 because I know that 15 minutes plus 15 minutes is 30 minutes. And that's how long she practices, 30 minutes. So make sure you're only going back the amount of time it tells you to. In this case, it was 30 minutes. So 15 plus another 15 is 30. Now let's think about this. I'm at 12 o'clock. I take away 15. So think about what hour is before 12 o'clock. If you're thinking 11, then you're correct. So our hour is now 11. And 15 minutes back would be 45. So our start time would be 11:45 p.m. Okay? So since it was at the end, we counted backwards. I counted by 15s twice to get 30 minutes. Once I did that, I then figured out that my start time was 11:45. Okay? Last one, example 4. This morning, Damon woke up at 7:45 a.m. His brother Sam woke up 45 minutes later. At what time did Sam wake up? Okay, so this time we're finding an end time. That means 7:45 is at the beginning, and we can jump forward. Now, I've already put 15, but you do not have to use 15s if you don't want to. I see 7:45, and I think if I add 15, that's going to give me a nice even 8 o'clock, because 45 plus 15 is 60. And once you get to 60, so not 60, 45 plus 15. Once you get to 60 minutes, that's when your hour changes. So you notice my new time is 8 a.m. Okay, I need to go 45 minutes. I've only gone 15. So I'm going to jump another 15. 15 plus 15 is 30. So we've gone 30 minutes. Here's my new time that I've written, 8:15. Okay, now I still need to go to 45. I've only gone 30 minutes. So what number should we skip by next? 30 plus what would give me 45? Well, 15 would give me 45. Okay, so our last jump is also 15. 8:15 plus another 15 is 8:30. Okay, so 8:30, and we would say a.m. is the time his brother woke up. Okay, now this takes a lot of mental math skills. You've got to be good at skip counting. You may not be very good at skipping by 15s yet, but you will. It takes practice. So 15 plus 15 is 30, and 30 plus 15 is 45. Once you get those three down, that's all you really need to know when you're counting on a clock. Okay? 30 plus 15 is 45, and then 45 plus 15 is 60. Okay? So if you're struggling with counting by 15s, that's okay. Just keep practicing and it'll get easier. Also remember, you do not have to use 15s. You could have done 5s. You could have skipped by 5. all the way through this number line if you wanted to until you got to 45. Just remember, whatever you skip by is your choice, but make sure that you're counting correctly and you label the time underneath as you're skipping. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or send me a message. See you soon.